Students, in this video we are going to go over exercise U1A03, which is multiplying binomials using structure. So let's take a look. I always go through the odd questions, so maybe just in the spirit of a little bit of change, let's do the even questions here. So let's take a look at these questions now. So I'm going to go through the even questions here and just to go through some of the, demonstrate how structure can be utilized. So just to recap, what were those structures again? So if I have a plus b times a minus b, this turns into a difference of squares. If I have a plus b times a plus b, this is a perfect square, and this is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And this is and then the last case was not a minus b times a minus b. I end up with a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. All right, so let's take a look, okay? So just so that you know, so that you're aware, this is actually broken up. If you notice questions 2 through 8, okay, these are all what form? That's right. These are all a difference of squares. So, because these are all difference of squares, I'm going to apply that first structure that I've written there. So how will that look? Immediately I notice that A is 4r and B is 5. So if that's the case, then this immediately just turns into a squared minus b squared, right? So it's just 4r squared minus 5 squared. Or really, this is just 16r squared minus 25. Let's take a look at the next one. Well, my a and b, this is just 8x minus 3. So this is going to be 64x squared minus 9. Let's take a look at the number 6. This is, again, a difference of squares, because even though I have a negative number here, it's okay. That is all good. Whoops. So this is going to be negative 8m squared plus 4 squared, and that is going to be 64m squared plus 16. All right, and then getting to the last one in this early batch here. So I have a here is negative is 7x, and then minus 4y squared quantity squared, and that is okay. Don't be afraid of these little changes and things. So this is going to be 49x squared minus 16y to the 4th, because I have 4y squared times 4y squared. That's just 16y to the 4th. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this is now a perfect square, and even though this looks like what we have here is a difference, okay, this actually is a sum in disguise. It may not necessarily appear to be that way. Actually, you know what? Maybe I won't go over 10 first. I'm going to go over question 14 first. We'll go over that one first. So let's take a look at this guy. So question 14, okay, is actually going to take the form of, let's take a look. Right? You guessed it. It's going to take the form of line number 2. It's a perfect square. Okay, so I immediately here see that a is 3x. So this is going to be 3x quantity squared. And then plus 2 times a times b plus b squared, which is 5y squared. So what will this turn into? This is going to turn into 9x squared plus 30xy plus 25y squared. I'm going to go over the next one here, question 16, and this is going to be a difference. So what I have here, this is going to be 5m quantity squared. And really the only difference between the two perfect squares, if I have a sum versus a difference, is the middle operation here is supposed to be a difference. So let's take a look. This is going to be minus 2 times 5m times 8n plus 8n, quantity squared. And what will this all reduce to? This is going to be 25m squared minus 80mn plus 64n squared. Okay, and then I want to backtrack a little bit. Okay, so now I have the two perfect squares demonstrated. Let's take a look at the other ones here, the other two here. So actually, this guy right here is, if you think about this, this is actually a sum in disguise, and it may not necessarily, you may not necessarily be able to identify that at first. But however, I want to do a quick demonstration here because I have both of these things are negative, right? And I'm squaring them. Let's just think about this. I can actually factor out a negative, and I end up with 8r plus 3 quantity squared, right? So think about this. If I'm multiplying two things that have a negative in front, what happens to the overall? That's right, it becomes a positive, right? So really, this is the same thing as 8r plus 3 quantity squared. I mean, if you don't find that to be, if you're not able to process that, that quickly, that's okay too. Okay, you can always go and just follow the equations, verbatim. Okay, so recognizing that this is a difference, you can still apply the perfect square in that difference form. Okay, so this turns into, so let's do that actually. Let's apply that perfect square in that difference form. This is going to be negative 8r quantity squared minus 2ab, right? So it's going to be 2 times negative 8r times 3 plus 3 squared. Okay, and if I simplify this, I'll end up with 64r squared plus 48r plus 9. Ladies and gentlemen, do you notice right here the coefficient in the middle, right? That's positive. Wait, isn't that the same thing as 8r plus 3? And as a matter of fact, it is. So again, if you're able to, see some of the algebra, the quick mental math, okay, this is another way of quote unquote simplifying a situation, and you're multiplying the product in this manner. And people who are able to see this can more efficiently find products this way. Let's take a look at the next one. This is actually a really similar case. And again, if I immediately apply that recognition, this is the same thing as the sum, right? So this is going to be 49a squared minus or plus 42a plus 9. This is going to be a perfect square, again, where we have a sum in the middle. Let's take a look at the next one, where the problems get a little more challenging. But again, nothing to be afraid of here. Let's take a look at number 18. For number 18, I noticed that I have a sum. So immediately it's going to take the form of a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So what exactly is this? So it's going to be 11/4 a quantity squared plus 11/4 times a times 3/8 times b, and I forgot to multiply by 2 on the outside, plus the last term there, 3/8 b quantity squared. And we're going to treat this no differently. So this is going to be 121/4 a squared plus So I'm going to multiply those fractions there. 11/4 times 3/8, that's 33 over 32. However, if you notice, okay, there are things that you can do to sort of get away with things. So I noticed that I have a 2 and a 4 there. They cancel. The 4 will become a 2. So therefore, I'm going to end up with 33/16 times AB. And then here I have 9/64 B squared. Let's try this again. So I see here that this is a sum, okay? However, the leading term here is negative. This is actually a perfect square, but with a difference in between. However, you're going to see that at the end if you didn't recognize that already. But let's see here. This is negative 2a, quantity squared, plus 2 times negative 2a times 29/8 b plus 29/8 b quantity squared. And again, I'm going to go through and do a little bit of simplification here. This is going to be 4a squared minus, so 2 times 2 makes 4. 4 goes into 8 twice. So this is going to turn into minus 29 halves AB. And then plus 29/8 b squared. I don't know what is the perfect square of 29, but let's see here. So 29, let's just do that really quickly. 29 squared comes out to 841. So this is going to be 841/64 b squared. Even math teachers need a calculator every now and then. Okay, next, I noticed that this is there's a difference in operation. So immediately this is going to be a difference of square. So I know that this is going to be 3/2 a squared minus 1/2 b quantity squared. So this is going to turn into 9/4 a squared minus 1/4 b squared. And the last question here, this is again going to be a perfect square. So this is going to be negative 23/6 x quantity squared plus 2 times 23/6 x negative 23/6 x times 2/5 y plus 2/5 y quantity squared. And just like before, I don't know what 23 squared is. That's a little beyond me. So let's see here. 23 squared, that is 529. So this is going to be 529 over 36 x squared plus, or actually it's going to be minus because I have positive times a negative. So I see here 2 and 6 becomes a 3. The denominator will become 15. The numerator, I have 23 times 2, and that's 46. 46xy. And then plus 4 over 25y squared. And there you have it.